What's going on, people? Welcome to 137 Works, and today we're having a look at Koala Sampler. We're just going to talk about the update, show off kind of some of the features for the most recent update. So if that sounds interesting, stick around. So what are we going to talk about? Koala got an update within the last week or so, basically. A big update that added like a big kind of headline feature and a couple of bug fixes and quality of life updates. And then there's also been a small little hotfix recently as well that kind of just refined that update a bit. But yeah, basically the big kind of sexy headline attention grabbing part of the update was that they've added Midi Out. Yeah, how you do that is basically go into samples, more, and then I'm assuming obviously in the future as more updates comes they'll add more here, but just for now it's just Midi Out. You click on it, add it as you would anything else, drag it in, pick a place for it, and there you go. So if you click edit, you've got a Midi Out. So basically what that does is if you have Midi Out kind of like hardware, or you've got like a keyboard, like a hardware synthesizer or keyboard type thing, you can control that via Midi with Koala Sampler, which is pretty cool. Again, I don't personally have, but yeah, if you have like basically if you have a synth, a hardware synth, you can control that from Koala now, which is deadly. You can also add multiple, so the same as anything else, you can kind of just copy and paste it, drag it across, and add kind of multiple synths in if you have them. And then as well, again, just like you've got the edit, so you can choose the channel and the device. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure how it works as far as feeding it back into Koala Sampler. Obviously, you have the option, I assume, maybe to resample it as like an input, maybe. But like for example, a frustration that I have with Koala still is that only way to get some baseline in here is to use the sample, like is to find a base sample that's hopefully, ideally, perfectly in key. But even still, when you start pitching it up and down, you run into the possibility of it not necessarily being pitch perfect as it goes up and down. I would love just a very basic hardware synth engine of some kind, like, and that's where I'm thinking like the MIDI might come through. If you have like a hardware physical synth that you can plug in via the MIDI output here now with this update, and get your bass lines in that way, like, you know, craft a bass sound that way, that would be really, really handy. But if not, I'm sure you can just resample it and kind of make it work that way. But that's really cool. But that is just the first update that I wanted to touch on. Yeah, again, that's the big kind of headline grabbing update that obviously people are going to gravitate towards and be like, oh cool, like that's a new feature. But again, buried down on those patch notes, whereas just two particular little updates that I personally think are like a game changer. I think that I mentioned it in the video, I think it's up here or here. I'll leave a link to it when I did a video showing my workflow. I talked about in the video, and I also cut out about like 30 seconds of the frustration. Basically as simple as when you are in a sequence, or if you're doing piano roll editing or whatever, when you select a couple of notes, trying to like mess around with it, trying to say if you want to, it's particularly often if I'm trying to repeat a note, it's very finicky because the buttons previously were insanely small, they were very hard to hit, and you'd often like do this, you know, like, just, it's a bit of a first world problem, I admit, but it was just very frustrating. Like, you were constantly like trying to, if you're trying to legato things, you'd be hitting the back button and all that kind of stuff. Also, by the way, sorry, I know that the autofocus when I put my hands in front is a bit annoying. I'm trying to work that out. I don't know, but my phone should have an autofocus mode on the video camera, but I can't seem to find it. But anyway, the update was very simple. It's just he made the buttons bigger. He just, the note again, I'll put up the patch notes here somewhere, I'll leave them in the description or something, and it just says made prompts bigger or something along those lines. And it's not huge, they're not like taking up half the screen now, but they are just noticeably just a little bit bigger, just makes it a bit more easier. Because again, I literally was thinking about resorting to using my Apple Pencil just to try to get that fine precision whenever I'm doing anything, but then you start adding things in as opposed to just kind of being able to work with your hands and move everything around using just your fingers. Then in theory you'd be starting, like, you'd be picking up your Apple Pencil and you'd be picking around and putting it back down and forgetting where you left it down, and it rolls away. It's a whole big thing. It's like, could we not just have it kind of like sorted with the hands kind of gestures? So that's that. The another one when I mentioned that I think I mentioned there was a big update and then there was a hotfix. As part of the hotfix, he's also added it now so that placing notes should be a little easier, should be a little more convenient to be able to hit the notes when you're kind of zoomed in. I don't know how that will apply when you're zoomed out, because that's obviously when you'd want it to be the most efficient, like, but that seems to be a lot better. Yeah, even as I'm doing that, like, I'm doing this live for the first time, it just occurred to me, I'd expect that kind of accuracy that I just got there in, like, say 1/8 or 1/4 mode, but in 1/16, like, I'm getting pretty much on the fly exactly where I'm intending to hit. Not those two, I was trying to hit them on the beat maybe, but just as a quick example, still not perfect, but just as a quick example, that's basically a little update there. When you're, specifically when you're zoomed in, it should be easier to hit the notes that you're going for. So that's the first one. Again, just bigger text prompts, just make that finicky thing of like, trying to hit repeat and blah blah blah. That makes that a little less annoying, which is great. The second one, it's a bit harder to explain. If you are editing your patterns, so for example, if I want to edit this one, but I have snap sequence on sequence end and then autoplay, a bug that I was coming across that was very, very frustrating was the sequence would shift to the next one while I'm editing the first one, and that would make that change. So the simplest way to explain this problem is basically to go in, and let's just say that these two are the verse and the chorus. So the verse, let's just say this basic drum loop that I have going here, literally I just set up a basic drum kit to kind of just get a video, something to put on the video to explain it. Basically, if I don't want the hi-hats, right, so I have them all selected there, they're my two hi-hats. Yeah, so these will be my hi-hats here. Let's just say for the structure of the song, the first sequence, I don't want any hi-hats in, and then I do want them in the second one. But I only discover that as I'm kind of creating it on the fly. So if I press this, start editing it, and start moving things around, or decide to delete them, whatever like that, previously what would have happened there before this update is it would have shifted onto this pattern here, or this sequence, or whatever, and then this sequence, let's just say again I had like a baseline, I had a sample in there, they would all be removed and it basically become a copy of this one. Obviously it's kind of hard to show it off properly and explain it exactly what I mean, but I hope that I'm getting it across right. Well, I'm trying to edit this pattern. Can't remember if it still edits this one, but it also changes this. But yeah, like you'd come back out after making your changes and you'd be like, wait, why am I on the chorus sequence here, like, and then you look at the thing and it's like, where's all the parts that I added, where's all the, like, and it would just completely have changed, and literally just, it would made a copy, it would have just basically overwritten it essentially and just turned it into that. Like, it's a very, very cool little update, very small update, again, just a short video to kind of talk about it and kind of, yeah, show off, number one, obviously the Midi update in case you didn't know or didn't see that it's update, because it doesn't make it obvious. There's no splash screen when you open Koala to be like, new update, here's new features added. Things just kind of show up if you're not paying attention, like. So yeah, in case you missed that, and then in case, yeah, if you did notice, if you thought you were going crazy, maybe you're like, I don't remember the buttons being that big. It's like, yep, they got an update. And then lastly, if you have been maybe steering clear of Koala because that's been such a frustrating problem for you, I don't imagine that being the case. It's just a little frustrating. The undo button can usually sort that out. It's a huge feature. Basically what it does now, again, I probably should explain that. What it does now instead, I believe it just turns off autoplay, and instead of looping onto the next one, if you're actively editing things, like holding down something or adding buttons as it's playing, it'll just loop it back around and keep looping itself. Ideally, you would like it to be able, like, ideally the fix would have been to have it continue playing, but just recognize that you're editing that one thing and not do that weird shifting thing and just have it, you know, play on, kind of have it play on as you're going. But yeah, the fix that they've implemented is absolutely solid and works fine. That's about it. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to cover it and just kind of, you know, get another video up on the channel. It's been a little while, been quite busy, a few things have come up and stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, short little video. Hope it's useful. Hope you enjoyed it. Apologies again about the autofocus issues. I will try to look into that. I did before we started. I looked through all my settings and I couldn't find it. I'm on an Xperia 5.2, I think it's called. Like, it's a Sony Xperia, and I just couldn't suss out how to turn off the autofocus on the camera mode in quick enough fashion before recording this video. So I'll have a look into that and see what's causing that. But that's it. Yeah, cool little Koala update. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.